Good evening to the hopeless romantics and the quiet observers of true connection. Welcome back to Whatever You Need, the only sanctuary where we look past the script and into the soul of the story. Tonight, we are not chasing shadows or manufacturing drama. We are listening to a heartbeat that has been growing louder, steadier, and undeniable. We are talking about Halil İbrahim Ceyhan, Sıla Türkoğlu, and the whispered words that suggest the distance between colleagues and forever has finally closed. Before we step into the warmth of this unfolding chapter, please subscribe to our channel. Press the like button if you believe in love that takes its time, and for those who wish to support independent, heartfelt storytelling, we invite you to click the join button. Your support keeps the lights on and the stories flowing. Now, let us listen to the truth that Halil can no longer keep silent. In the hushed corridors of the Turkish entertainment industry, where secrets are currency and privacy is a fortress, a new vibration is humming through the air. It concerns the words Halil İbrahim Ceyhan has been using behind the scenes about Sıla Türkoğlu, words so warm, so unmistakably direct, that even his closest confidants couldn't keep them locked away for long. They say the conversation started casually, the way it always does on a long production day, laughter echoing in the makeup trailer, shared memories of exhausted nights on set, stories traded over cold coffee. But then, with that low, steady voice that commands attention without raising volume, Halil reportedly let slip a truth that has sent the fandom into a quiet frenzy. The future with Sıla doesn't feel distant anymore. It feels near enough to touch. We all remember the genesis of this connection. A project brought them together, casting them as shadows on a screen. At first, the connection belonged to their characters, filmed encounters, scripted feelings, rehearsed glances under the glare of studio lights. Yet, something lingered in the air between scenes, a natural rhythm they didn't have to manufacture, a quiet tenderness that never needed a director's cue to exist. Anyone who watched them closely could see the subtle transformation. The spark of professional collaboration quietly evolving into a bond that didn't need to be explained to be felt. Their focus remained laser-sharp on the work. Their interviews were careful, measured masterpieces of respect. But heart language is notoriously hard to hide, and the heart doesn't always wait for permission to be seen. Now, after months of maintaining that respectful silence, the atmosphere around them has undeniably shifted. According to those within reach of their most private hours, Halil is no longer the man who dodges the topic of long-term plans with a charming smile and a quick subject change. Instead, he has been speaking with a clarity that feels entirely new, even to friends who have known him for years. He is said to call Sıla more than a partner, more than a companion, more than a beautiful chapter in his biography. He calls her the person who steadies his life. And when the room turns quiet and confidences grow brave, he is rumored to say that the idea of a home with her no longer feels like a question mark hanging over his head, but a sentence finally finding its full stop. Of course, the world outside does what it always does. It watches. It asks. It speculates. Fans have observed the careful balance they carry between high-profile careers and the desperate need for a sanctuary that belongs only to them. They travel when they can, disappear when they must, and reappear just long enough to remind everyone why their presence together feels so distinct. We've heard whispers of sunset escapes, of secret getaways where they can breathe without the constant rush of the industry. We've heard that when the cameras switch off and the makeup comes off, they remain each other's calm at the end of the chaotic day. And now we hear that the word on Halil's tongue is not casual. It is committed. It is close. What makes these rumors hit differently is simple. For a long time, Halil was the one steering well clear of the marriage question. Not because he feared love, no one who acts with such depth fears emotion, but because he respected the pace of life. He respected the responsibility of his craft and the patience that comes with building something that lasts. He has always been careful with promises, precise with timing, protective of the people he cares for. So when he lets friends hear him speak about a shared life as something imminent, his seriousness rings like a bell in a quiet room. There's no chasing a headline in his voice, only a man who has weighed the moment and found it worth the world. Meanwhile, there is Sıla, poised, collected, selective with every word she offers about the private corners of her heart. She isn't one to draw attention with a grand declaration or a flashy post. She avoids embellishment. She lets the work speak loudly and the emotions live softly. But the smile that appears when his name slides into an interview, the lightness in her answers, the stillness in her eyes when she is asked about him, those details tell their own story. People close to her say she sees this relationship not as a chapter to be read quickly and discarded, but as a book she wants to finish, a journey she wants to protect, a future she is willing to shape with her own hands. If the rumors are to be believed, the families have quietly stepped into the frame. No grand spectacle, no flashing bulbs, just early conversations in living rooms and gardens, warm teas poured into waiting hands, and long looks exchanged over the kind of laughter that only families understand. We are told that the feeling on both sides is one of comfort, of recognition, as if everyone at the table suddenly knew they were sitting with the right people. No official steps, not yet. But something beautiful often happens before the official steps. A home is imagined, a circle is widened, a path is cleared. You can trace the thread back to where it began, two professionals meeting on equal ground, building a trust that began in the script and took its time growing roots off-screen. Neither one needed the other to shine, they are stars in their own right, but when they stood side by side, there was a radiance that couldn't be ignored. People talk about chemistry as if it's a trick of the lens, a happy accident. Yet what they have never seemed to lose is the underlying kindness, the constant mutual respect, the way they show up for each other's work without trying to outshine it. There is comfort in watching two people uplift one another. There is hope in seeing them choose gentleness, in a world that often rewards noise. Now, the phrases that stretch across their private conversations carry weight. It's said that when Halil speaks of the months ahead, he doesn't sound like a man stumbling through guesses. He sounds like someone who has folded the future into the palm of his hand, and found the strength to hold it steady. He is poetic in the way that honest men sometimes are when they talk about what matters. He says life is settling into shape. He says the road looks clearer with her walking it beside him. He says the house lights can lower and the crowd can fade, and he will still be right there, certain of the person he wants by his side. Those who love to decode gestures have had a field day. They've watched the way their schedules align even when the public calendar doesn't show it. They've noticed the unannounced pauses that follow intense projects. They've seen the glimmers. A photograph taken at just the right distance, a companionable silence on a flight, matching moods that reappear months apart. No dramatic displays, no ostentatious shows of affection, just a collection of small, human moments that, together, paint a complete picture. Critics have tried to make it complicated. They've asked if it's too soon, if the public expects too much, if the pressure of all those eyes would make anyone hesitate. But those who've stood close enough say there is no rush, only readiness. That both are choosing care over spectacle, intention over impulse. That the goal isn't to surprise the world, but to honor the love they've been carefully protecting behind closed doors. We must pause to appreciate the rarity of this dynamic. In an industry that thrives on fast-paced flings and public breakups, Halil and Sıla are playing the long game. What do you think? Is their silence a sign of strength? Is keeping it private the secret to making it last? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, the join button is the best way to support this channel and keep these deep dives coming. When people remember the first whispers about them, they often mention the calm. There were no dramatic falls into rumor. There were no messy turns. There was patience and there was time. And when the energy changed, when the private language became more certain, it didn't feel like a sudden twist. It felt like the next page in a story that has been turning quietly, surely, one breath at a time. We are told that their teams are supportive, that in work meetings and script discussions and long production days, there is space for their personal rhythm to exist without interference. Their dedication to craft has never wavered. If anything, they seem steadier now, as if finding tenderness has also sharpened their focus. The commitment to excellence has not been traded for romance, it has been deepened by it. That is why people believe in them. That is why the idea of a more official promise doesn't roll off the tongue like gossip, but lands with the dignity of something carefully earned. And what of the words that set all this in motion? The phrases passed quietly from one trusted friend to another, until they found their way into the conversation the rest of us are now having. They are not reckless declarations. They are not loud vows shouted into the wind. They are the steady, measured truths of a man who has avoided grandstanding his entire career. If he is speaking about marriage not as a rumor but as a nearness, then perhaps the horizon truly is closer than it appears. As for Sıla, her subtlety continues to be a kind of poetry. She does not need to affirm with statements when her actions speak with such clarity. Those who know her say she is thoughtful about timing, selective about what she shares, keenly aware of how easily quiet joys can be disturbed. And yet, the joy is there, unmistakable, shining through laughter on a late-night set, through messages of support posted without fanfare, through moments where her presence says, "I am here, still here, always here." So where does this leave us tonight? With a narrative that has been forming in the softest of shadows, now stepping into a glow. With families who may have already exchanged knowing glances. With friends who have watched two people turn companionship into something more anchored. With fans who cheer not because a headline told them to, but because they can feel it in the tender details. This is not a fling. This is steady weather. People say a promise is coming. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not announced with fireworks. Perhaps it arrives the way everything about them has arrived. In a small room, with eyes that have already said yes, with hands that have already learned the shape of home. And when the moment does come, whether it is witnessed by a crowd or sealed in a circle of loved ones, it will feel less like surprise and more like recognition. Of course, we'll say. Of course it's time. Of course they chose each other. Until then, we watch the story write itself in gestures and glances, in the careful balance of schedules, in the respect that never seems to fade. We remember how it began, how it grew, how it learned to breathe. And we hold close the words that started this latest surge. The future is not a far shore. It's just across the water, calling them by name. Thank you for joining us for this special report on Whatever You Need. If this story of quiet commitment moved you, please like, subscribe, and share. And for those who want to stand with us as we tell the stories that matter, the join button is waiting. Until next time, trust the silence and trust the journey. Goodbye.